As a Scrum Master, what is your experience working with onshore and offshore teams? This is a very important question, especially when you have remote and hybrid environment all across the IT. And this is a question you really, really want to pay attention to because you are going to likely encounter this in your next interview. Now, I'm going to talk about 5 different aspects you should mention so that your interview will have an understanding that you know what you're talking about, because there's definitely no way you walk across the IT field for about 5 years and then you've not experienced working with both onshore and offshore teams. Now, let's start by defining what onshore teams are and offshore teams are. And then we'll move ahead to talk about the 5 different aspects on what you should consider. But before we move ahead, welcome to the Scrum Chat Room with Dr. Francis Mbunya. If you're new here, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and make sure that notification is on. Weekly, I'm committed to sharing valuable insight that will help you get closer to that Scrum Master job. And now, also, check in the description. I'm holding a free workshop that will help you evaluate what you are missing in the gap in order to get your Scrum Master job. That's going to be next Tuesday. Check in the description and make sure that you are registered. So that workshop is going to happen on September 3rd. It's going to be a launch hour workshop, 2 hours engaging with you, answering your question. It's going to be direct on Zoom so that we can have that space together. Make sure you enroll. All right, so back to our question. Now we'll talk about onshore teams. These are teams that you're located within the same country. For instance, if all your team members are within the United States, now they are onshore team. Now, if you have team members that are outside of the United States, let's say in the UK, let's say in India, let's say in Mexico, they are offshore teams. The reason why the question is being asked, what is your experience? Because it requires paying attention to different aspects. One of the aspects is what we call facilitating communication and collaboration. Why is it very important? The way you will communicate to people within who are onshore will be different from offshore. For instance, I can send an email to my team at 3 p.m. if all of them are in the United States and everybody will respond. But if I have both onshore and offshore members, I cannot send an email at 3 p.m. At 3 p.m., all my friends within the India zone will already be sleeping. So I don't expect them to see that email because I don't master my communication with offshore team. They will miss important deadline. By the time they wake up tomorrow, it's a whole lot of email for them. They cannot catch up. So we master communication and collaboration. The next thing, I cannot be setting up a one-on-one with an offshore team member, let's say too early, or I need to make sure I understand the time zone and the availability. Now, the second aspect is managing time zone difference. This comes with when you're setting up ceremonies and you're setting up events that require everyone to participate. You cannot set up your daily stand-up too early, let's say at about 6 a.m. Why? Because people that are within, let's say, onshore, I'm working from the United States, people within the specific time zone, my time is Texas time, 6 a.m. It's going to be 4:10. It's going to be 4 a.m. California time, right? And it's going to be 5 p.m., 5 a.m. Mountain time. So time zone. At that point, my friends in India are already up, but then those who are onshore, they're not yet. So managing time zone. Now, the third thing you want to ensure is to do what? Supporting cultural sensitivity. This is one of the biggest goals of a Scrum Master, to be able to create a neutral environment where every team member can thrive. For instance, you will understand that based on our different background, the first thing you understand that we have different way we look at things. There are certain things that will be offended to someone from India and it will not be offended to someone from the United States, right? They need to understand the diversity in their lifestyle. You do this by having one-on-one with your team members, understanding what are their likes, what are their dislikes, and making sure that we create some transparency in order to know to validate that. One of the things I do a lot with my team is that I play a lot of socialization game, which is getting to know them so that I know what they like and what they dislike. I know what is cultural sensitive in their area, so we can play a balance in our team and create an environment where everyone can thrive without any issue. Now, the third thing I want to pay attention to in order to do that, I want to be able to facilitate feedback, effective feedback loop. Dealing with people with different culture, the way they receive feedback is completely different. So I need to be able to facilitate these so that I make sure that I keep everyone on the same point. And lastly, one of the things I want to talk about is about how you facilitate your ceremony. If everyone is in the same time zone, it's going to be a bit different compared to having people in diverse time zone. I'll give you an example. Most of the time when I facilitate Scrum events, I'll often pay very close attention to the different in our time zone. Sometimes I can make a joke like, okay, given that most of our folks from the Pacific time zone are just getting up and they're having their cup of coffee, I'm going to have them go last so that at least they take a bit of time to sip their coffee. Or I can say that they're just waking up, so they have high energy. I want them to bring that high energy into the room and kickstart the room, right? So you want to make sure that you're facilitating your considering the diversity. Sometime when I have a meeting that is a bit later in the day, that's about 10 p.m., 11 p.m. India time, I will start my facilitation by saying, hey, I know all my friends from the Indian time zone, you're almost about going to bed. Sorry for keeping you up. I know most of you might be in your PJ, but then we're happy to see you in your PJs on the screen, right? I create a fun environment because I understand the diversity of my team. So these are the aspects I want you to talk about to make sure that you understand the importance of cultural diversity, how you can leverage communication and facilitation and cultural sensitivity to be able to make sure this happens. So in a summary, if you've been asked that question in an interview, you can answer that in less than 30 minutes. That's a great question. I pay attention to a couple of stuff to me which are very important. Communication and collaboration, cultural sensitivity, and the different time zone. I make sure I leverage these because people are different. I need to understand their need. I leverage these to be able to build good rapport among my team member, schedule meeting where I need to schedule them, and make sure that I'm also getting really good feedback from all my team members, looking at what time is favorable for them, and having all of this conversation in our retrospective so we can be a very powerful cross-functional team. If this was useful, drop a like, drop a comment, share so that someone can benefit. And remember, next Tuesday, 3rd of September, I am having a 2 hours meeting with you just to be able to answer your questions and go deeper to this is the roadmap to getting a Scrum Master job. I've helped more than close to 300 people get a job. I mean, those are those who have mentored personally. Many of you have just watched my videos and it's like, wow, when I watch this is what helped me. I've had so many testimony. So if you want to know exactly what we have been doing that is working, make sure check the description, sign up for that workshop. All right. I'll see you in my next video and do have a great week.